If you've made the choice to live child-free, it is only a matter of time before you'll be criticized.
What?
The criticism might come from your boss, it might come from friends or family, or it might come from a complete stranger, which is usually the case for me. This one's really tough. Try not to get defensive. I know, you guys are gonna be like, but it's not fair, so many people attack us and so many people say nasty things and unkind things to us. I know, but here's the thing. Try not to get defensive. I'm Hannah, you're watching Wife Without Kids. This channel is all about being a supportive and non-judgmental community for those of us that have made the choice to not have any children. I think we've all been in this situation when someone finds out you're child-free and so they start asking you questions. But they're not the kind of questions where they're like interested in like finding out genuinely, why are you child-free? That's so interesting. Tell me your story. It's more like, the questions that they ask have this underlying tone of being very judgmental. And it's a tone that insinuates that we're making the wrong choice, that you're making the wrong choice, that you're going to be really unhappy with your life, that you're going to wish you had kids. That's the tone that comes through with some people. And sometimes when you talk to those people, it is really challenging not to give a snarky, smart aleck response back to them. One thing I've learned in my few dozen years here on Earth is sometimes it's just good to be the kinder person. Be the bigger person and be nice back even if someone isn't being nice to you. And I know for some of you that might not sit so well and you might think, what is this lady talking about? I'm gonna be snarky if I want to and I'm gonna put people in their place. And I mean, at the end of the day, that is your choice, but I think being kinder is the better way to go. One of the things I never want to have happen in this community, to be a community that attacks parents or attacks kids, because that's not what I stand for. I know parents are on one end of the spectrum and child-free are on the other end of the spectrum, and we literally have completely different ways of looking at this situation. But I think we can mutually just be respectful of each other's choices even if we don't understand them. I know that in some child-free communities here online, people get really nasty about parents and kids. They put out really unkind memes. And here's the thing, I don't like it when people say that kind of stuff to me. When people make fun of the fact I don't have kids, when they say things that insinuate I'm a lesser than woman because I've made the choice not to have kids, when they say that value lies in how many kids a woman has, or that I'm going to burn up in a hot place because I didn't have children. I don't appreciate any of those comments. They don't make me feel like I'm very supported, and I don't think they're a nice way to treat other people. So I always want to make sure that I am respectful to people even if they make a different choice than I'm making. I think it's good to lead by example. And when someone really disagrees with you and says unkind things, don't take it personally. Honestly, it's not your problem. If someone wants to say unkind things or have an opinion about you that is negative, that's their problem. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't have to feel bad for not wanting children. That's your choice to make, and you don't have to feel pressured into making a choice that other people will approve of. I am learning this more and more as I get older. I care a lot less what people think of me. You know yourself better than most people. You know if you would be a good mom or a good dad. And if you feel like you don't fit that mold, if that's not something you're interested in, if that's not something that lies in your path, then don't do it, regardless of what anybody says to you. Now I know at this point you're probably like, oh my goodness, you're being ridiculous. We have to be nice, we have to be the bigger person. Now I know I said we should be the bigger person, but you know what? That still means that we can have boundaries. Because with some people, you have to have boundaries. There are people that have talked to you about this, and you have expressed the reasons why you don't want kids, and they constantly bring it up over and over and over again.
What?
You're allowed to have boundaries. You're allowed to say, hey, you know what? We've talked about this. We're not having this discussion anymore. You're allowed to shut down conversations if they make you uncomfortable. Or if there are people who you feel are very disrespectful towards you for your choice, you don't have to have discussions. You can change the subject. You can just straight up say to them, hey, you know what? I don't feel comfortable talking about being child-free. Boundaries are gonna look a little bit different for everybody. They're gonna be different for you than they are for me. Now, boundaries can be a little bit hard to set up sometimes. It takes a little bit of practice, but you know where you need to set up those boundaries. You know who you need to set those boundaries up with. So even if it doesn't work the first couple of times, keep being persistent with it, because there will come a point in time where people will stop talking and asking questions about your choice to live child-free if you stay strong. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert at handling criticism, but I've had my fair share, and here's some things that I've learned. Number one, listen to the person. Listen to what they have to say. Not everyone that asks you questions about your child-free life is judging you or disagreeing with you. So they found out that you're child-free and they have something to say, and they might have a lot to say. So just give people a listening ear for a few moments, because here's one thing that I've really learned about people. People love talking. They love being listened to. They love sharing their advice. They love sharing their point of view, and especially if they are older than you, they're going to feel like that they are going to bring up some really important points that you may have never thought about. I mean, maybe you have thought about them, but they might be assuming, you know what, this person's young, they may have not thought through this decision very thoroughly, so I want to educate them. They may feel like they have some nuggets of wisdom, or pearls of wisdom. They may feel like they have some pearls of wisdom to pass on to us. So it is polite to listen and hear what they have to share and what they have to say. Number 2, assume good intentions. Maybe they're genuinely concerned for you. Maybe they think you haven't weighed all the options in your choice to live child-free. Let's be honest, sometimes people genuinely
do not understand
why on earth someone would make the choice to not have kids. I mean, to be honest, we are in the minority. Only about a quarter of men and women in the entire world are choosing to live child-free. So we're somewhat of an anomaly.
High-fiving can be one of the most stressful things you'll ever do in life.
Maybe you're the first person that they've encountered that's not going to have kids, and they're genuinely wondering what on earth made you want to make that choice. Different generations have different mindsets. I feel like our generation is a little bit more open-minded to making different choices and to choosing lifestyles that maybe aren't seen as being traditional. My grandparents or great-grandparents have a bit of a difficult time with this. They came from a time when they had huge families, 8, 10, 12 children. So the idea of living life without children is incredibly foreign and often attached to a very negative stereotype. Number 3, let people know why you're choosing child-free, if you want to. You're not obligated to tell anybody why you don't have kids, but if you feel comfortable talking about the subject and you don't feel that it's too private, you can let people in on as much or as little information as you'd like to give them. It's natural that people are going to be curious about our lifestyle, so explaining why you're making the choice to live child-free may give them some insight into a concept that they're not familiar with. It may give them a different perspective that they've never considered. Now here's the thing, I said you're not obligated to tell people why you're making the choice to not have kids because I actually think that is true. We don't go up to parents and say, well, why do you have kids? For some people it's really personal. Maybe it's a physical issue, or maybe it's a mental health issue that they don't feel comfortable discussing with someone. And at the end of the day, I've never gone up to a parent and said, why did you have kids? Or why did you only have 1 child? Or why did you have 6 kids? That seems ridiculous. All that we can do is explain our situation if we feel comfortable doing it. And we're not there to change their minds, we're just there to give them some information, so that maybe when they come away from that conversation, they can have a bit of a different perspective on a life choice that is viable, even if they don't necessarily agree with it. I would say the main reason that I don't have kids is I've never felt maternal. I don't think I have a biological clock, or at least it's not ticking. I don't think it ever started ticking. It's interesting because when you're young, every girl at some point wants to be a mom. And of course, I played with dolls and I held them and I pretended to feed them. And then as life progressed, I decided, you know what, I'm kind of over that phase. I don't think I want kids. And since then, my mind has very much been made up to the point that I don't want kids. And that feeling of wanting kids has never come. When I speak to people about my choice to live child-free, my goal is never to change their minds. I don't think that's what we should be doing. We can just educate them. And what they choose to do with that information is their choice. When you feel criticized about your choice to live a child-free life, it's really important to make sure that you have a support group and a support system. Now, whether that's people online, on social media, or whether it's people that are physically near you, you need to make sure that you surround yourself with at least 1 or 2 other people or couples that don't have kids, so that you can kind of bounce ideas off them, see what worked for them, see how they did things, and see if you're able to apply those techniques into your own life. This is kind of a trial and error thing, and you might not get it right the first time. That's okay. Don't give up, keep trying. And when you have that group of like-minded people that you can contact when you're having a difficult time setting boundaries, or when you're feeling incredibly discouraged because you feel like you're constantly getting criticism for your choice, it is so important to be able to have someone to talk to. Nobody has to do this journey alone. You just might need to spend a little bit of time searching for someone until you find someone that's child-free that you can connect with. If you're feeling a bit alone in your choice to live child-free, check out this playlist next, because you're gonna find out pretty quick you are not alone.